This is the Peter Greenwood Show at the Edinburgh Fringe. Believe it or not, I've been doing this for a little while now. It's been 84 years.
Wow.
To my right is somebody who's doing a show up here at the Edinburgh Fringe. Could you tell me your name and your show title, please?
Hello, Pete. My name's Alex Hill, and I'm doing Why I Stuck a Flare Up My Arse for England.
So, where did this show come from?
This show came from, well, it's our third year at the Fringe now, so
Yeah.
it came from an experience I had when I was on Wembley Way during the final of the Euros in 2021, when England played and lost against Italy. And then on the way back from Wembley Way before the game, on my way to go and watch the game, I saw this photo of a guy that had put a flare up his bum in Leicester Square. I was at drama school at the time, going into my third year, and I banked it as a potential idea for a one-man show. And then when I left drama school, started developing it and writing it. Took it to the Fringe a couple of years ago in a 50-seater hotel conference room. And yeah, the show's just grown into this play that has been kind of my most sort of joyful thing that I've ever done. And it's been such an amazing journey to go on.
I feel like that image would have... Like, there's two kinds of people in the world. Some people would have looked at that and it would have stuck with them, but then... Somebody like yourself sees it, it sticks with them, but then you write a story about it.
Yeah, sure.
So what is the story?
So I think it's important to note that the guy that did it has no affiliation with the show. We basically just used the photo as a starting image, and also the act of sticking a flare up your bum wasn't exclusive to that one guy. In fact, I'd say the photo is the more famous thing about that, because a few people did it on Wembley Way as well. But I found it really interesting being a football fan myself and being a young man where sometimes you feel the need to do crazy things to kind of express yourself and to make yourself feel like you're part of something, like you're either funny or if it's essentially just showing off. But I found that like a really interesting premise for a show, especially with tying in with the themes of the football and the mental health stuff. I found that it was just a really nice, almost device to use, and also in a kind of way it was a viral moment, so we knew that it would initially help get some people interested about the show, and it would be a great way to, if I'm completely honest, coming up to the Fringe for the first time, knowing there's 3,500 shows, it was a great way to just be able to stick out a little bit more, which is always useful. But I really just found the whole thing interesting, and I created his backstory essentially and asked the question that is in the title, why I stuck a flare up my arse for England, and wanted to ask why would someone do that. So yeah, created a completely new character called Billy Kinley, and essentially just wrote about this guy's life and what would lead him to sticking a flare up his bum.
So who is Billy? What can you tell us about him? That isn't spoilery.
Yeah, sure. Billy is when we meet him, he's an 18-year-old lad. He lives in Wimbledon with his dad. His mum passed away when he was about 12, and his best mate Adam is his most favourite person in the world, I'd say. They grew up together, going to football together. It's the thing they love doing. But Adam is a little bit... he's a bit more successful early on. He gets better A-level results, and Billy ends up going to work for his dad at the hair salon that they run, the family business, and it's not quite fulfilling enough. And so one day Billy and Adam go to a Wimbledon game on a Saturday, let off some steam, and in doing so they meet after the game a character called Winegum, who is almost a protagonist. The antagonist part, sorry. It's definitely not the protagonist. The antagonist of the play.
I'd say the flare is the protagonist.
Yeah, absolutely. He meets him, and then then his life starts to kind of change, and his behaviour starts to reflect a little bit differently than it has done in the past.
So, when you were writing the show, how much did you want to include, and how much did you want to build up to the flare, and how much of the flare is in the show?
The main sort of feedback we get from audiences is that they didn't realise what the show was going to be. I think, the thing that it says on the tin, it does kind of do, but it's really not about the flare at all. The flare is, like I kind of said, it's a device almost. It was a thing that it's the big action of the play that this character does, and the play doesn't just dissect that. I think it dissects a few other things as well about everything. But yeah, we start with the flare and we almost end the play with the flare as well, and it's everything that happens in between and just after that is kind of the real meat of the play. Just like I think probably in that guy's life, in real life, that one moment isn't the defining moment of his life, although it might feel like that to the general public, and he might always only ever be remembered as a bum flare guy. I'd imagine that his life has got a lot more colour and a lot more depth to it than that action. So I think that's really what the play's about. It's not really about the flare at all. It's about the person behind it.
You touched on mental health a little bit. Where does that come into the play, and where does that come into the character?
Yeah, sure. So I think it comes just all over, really. I think Billy is constantly assessing himself in the world that he lives in and whether he feels good enough to belong, and I think that feels like a very real thing to me, at least, of maybe when things aren't quite going your way, career-wise, relationship-wise, that you start to maybe do things that don't actually align with your own kind of values and goals, just in an effort to try and shake things up to make yourself feel a bit better. And I think that kind of causes a whole world of issues for Billy mentally. It also makes, without spoiling anything, it also makes him very distant from the people that he truly loves and that truly love him. So I think that's kind of the important bit about the mental health. And we also, for this run of the show, partnered with Calm, which is Campaign Against Living Miserably. It's a charity that helps to prevent suicide, and Ben Shepherd and Chris Kamara lent their voices to the play as radio hosts, and we've been selling these play texts after the show where we'll donate £2 to that mental health charity, which has been, I think, one of the most amazing things that we've done with the show and been able to do, because it feels like there's an outreach there, and that once the audience leaves with, there's kind of, it feels like a very small bit of legacy that the play is able to kind of achieve, which is such an amazing thing that we're able to do.
And I imagine it also offers other outlets other than flares, more constructive ways of expressing yourself.
Yeah, we really wanted to write a character. Like, I've seen a lot of characters who are, I wouldn't describe him necessarily as this, but I suppose he is kind of, maybe falls into the stereotype of a football hooligan, and that character is often portrayed on stage as maybe a supporting character who might come in and be a bully or just punch someone and run off again, that kind of thing. So it's really important to show like a three-dimensional version of that character on stage, and I think that ties into the things about the mental health, etc. And yeah, it's really kind of a privilege to be able to do a character on stage that I don't think we see enough of in the media and in the arts usually, and they often overlooked, which I think also causes quite a few kind of issues and creates dangerous stereotypes as well.
I'd like to ask a little bit about the end of the play, because you said this is the third year at the Fringe, and you said this is the last run as well. Why is this the last run for?
This is the last run at the Fringe purely because I feel like it's been an amazing time at the Fringe, and I personally want to try and move on to a new show now. I think it's been such a great journey, really, just to be able to do it over the last 3 years, and we're going to have a future for this show, but just in a different capacity. So we're going back to London for a week's run at the Underbelly Boulevard in October, and we're going to be at Chichester Festival Theatre in September for 2 nights on the 26th and 27th. So they're the kind of confirmed dates, but there's also a few more to be announced, and there's definitely more life for this show, but we're hoping that we can bring back an entirely new show, either next Fringe or the Fringe after that.
So it's not being buried, it's just going to sleep for a little while. Taking a nap.
Yeah. And also the nice thing is now that it's been published, which means people can pick it up and you know, do it as a monologue if they'd like, and that's kind of something that was really important to us, because it just meant that even though there might not be an ongoing production of the play, it still kind of exists somewhere.
That is very cool, and also a great legacy for it, because you have to imagine somewhere in the great drama world, somebody is going for an audition at drama school, and they're thinking, let me see, we've got Othello, we've got Shakespeare. Oh, well, I stuck a flag up my arse ring, a flare up my arse ring, and somebody is doing that at a drama audition. How does that make you feel?
That blows my mind a little bit, having done all that process like 5 or 6 years ago myself, like trying to pick up contemporary and a Shakespeare, and the kind of stress that causes you when you're trying to get into those places. And I can't imagine anyone walking in and saying that to a panel and hearing the panel react, because it's quite a bold title to come out with. But I mean, if that does happen, it makes me quite happy, and I'm proud of what we've achieved with the play. So yeah, I hope it's a good little monologue for people to kind of pick up and do. That's great.
I really hope that happens. And if somebody does, please do get in touch. Please reach out. Let us know how it went, because a few years ago, I went for a drama school audition.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Clerks.
No, I
Kevin
haven't.
Smith film. Well, the two main characters, it's a day in their life. They work in a convenience store, and they have a big fight because one guy's saying he's not meant to be there that day. Right. And the other guy's like, okay. But so it comes to a crescendo. Yeah. And the monologue I chose started with the words, "Fuck you, pal," and you could visibly see the people being like,
yeah.
So I kind of feel that monologues like this are more are new,
sure,
more recent. So maybe they should be. I don't want to say more accepted, but
well, yeah. I mean, we always kind of like, that's great. By the way, I mean, so bold to do that in front of a panel, and I think it's hard to know sometimes what they're looking for, isn't it? So sometimes it's great just to kind of give it to them. But yeah, I just remember sort of waiting in the audition holding rooms, and you know, people sort of say, "Oh, hello," like, you know, what pieces are you doing? Then it's like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing King Lear, and I'm doing it's, you know, one of the kind of classics like a Jez Butterworth or People, Places and Things or something like that." You know, all those kind of things, which are amazing pieces of writing. But yeah, I mean, if the new plays that are coming through start to kind of break into the audition rooms, I guess that makes it a funner, more interesting time for the panel, at least.
Yeah, and also for the performers.
Yeah, well. Of course, yeah.
Because I imagine not every actor wants to go and do Shakespeare or Dickens or whatnot. Some do want to do I stuck a flare up my ass. Yeah. Some want to do Fleabag.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, there's a whole spectrum of work out there, and performance styles, and you know, actors who fit different roles. So yeah, it's just really exciting.
What is next for you? You mentioned maybe a new show. What can you tell us about that at this point?
I can't say too much at the moment.
Is there a new one in the works, and what level are you at? Can you tell us that?
There's not. I'm right at the beginning of the process for a lot of new shows. When I had the idea for Flair, it was very vivid in my imagination. Like I could really kind of see the moments of that play, and I could understand why it might work and why it might be able to play at the Fringe. And I've got these new projects that I just haven't quite yet had the real visceral reaction where I go, I need to sit down and get this sort of done. But I've had moments where it really excites me, and it's just about kind of accepting that and letting that flow. But also there's a real fear about creating the next thing, and trying not to put too much pressure on myself to make something haphazardly, because I don't want that. I don't want it just to come out and be a rushed thing just because I felt like I needed to do something new. So I'll take my time. But yeah, there are things kind of brewing, I guess. Yeah.
One of the things you mentioned about Billy, going back a little bit, is that you mentioned he he feels he can't quite keep up the one with his friends, so he's trying to top the last thing he did. How much of that is based on you going into your next work, and do you feel you need to top Flair?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. No, I feel like it's a really dangerous thing to think like that, because then you're gonna. I feel like I would just then probably end up trying to write the same play. Yeah. You know what I mean, or at least maybe a completely different world and different characters, but really it's just disguised as the same play. Yeah. And I found myself falling into that trap already, thinking about new shows and going, oh well, that's just the same thing, but just told in a different way, you know. And I want to say something else, I think.
Yeah. So it's not going to be like, why I ate a bulldozer with my eyes or something like that.
No, I don't know, maybe. Like, there's all sorts of things. I did wonder for a moment whether it would just be like takes on viral. My plays would be takes on viral things that happened. But I think that's limiting and can be restrictive, and I don't think it's very useful. I mean, like the Coldplay affair that happened a couple of months ago, stuff like that. You could probably write a play about that. But then, you know, I think original ideas are great as well. I'd like to write something that's just completely... I mean, Flair is completely fictionalised, don't get me wrong. It was just a stimulus, but I don't know. I feel like it's... I like wacky titles, so I don't be surprised if there's like a niche show with a mental title.
Yeah. I also feel like the world moves so fast. Like that Coldplay thing was only a month or so ago, and yet it's gone. It's done. So if you did write something viral, I mean, could you do it for 3 years?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing, right? With Flair, some people don't even know that the guy stuck a flower up his arse for real. Which is fine, but I think that's the key, right? You can't expect people to go into any show that you write and know. I think it's kind of like, I always find that when I go into shows, I kind of feel like it's a little bit, just, I don't know, it's like a little bit, I'm trying to find the right word. When I'm an audience member and I feel like I'm not getting, I paid for my ticket, but I go in and I'm, you know, I was meant to know some kind of prior context to why this show works. Yeah. I don't think that's exactly fair all the time on an audience member, so I try to avoid that, because I don't think I would want anyone to sit there and go, so there was a guy that kind of, you know, either they know or they don't know, and that's fine, you know?
Yeah.
But you're right, the world does move quickly, so I always feel like the play feels a bit dated, but to that same point, I think that's why maybe it doesn't feel so dated, because it's not about that viral thing. It's about the character, essentially. Yeah.
Where can people find out more about you online?
I'm on Instagram, and about me online.
About you, about the show.
Okay, cool. I'm on Instagram. The best place to get the show is @BumFlairPlay. So that's a good place to kind of head to find out more about the show. Also head to Roxy Dog Productions website, which is the company that we use to produce the work under. And that's, I think, www.roxydog.co.uk. And then on there you'll have all news about upcoming projects and just about the company, really.
Did Instagram give you any trouble when you tried to register that handle?
No, they were all right, actually, surprisingly enough. And so were TikTok, and so were Twitter. When it was back in the day, it was. It seems to be pretty. You get away with that, but yeah, I'm surprised.
It's a great handle as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Peter. Oh, thank you so much for having me on. Have the best time at the Fringe. Cheers, mate.
Thank you. Why I stuck a flare up my arse for England, which is not something I thought I'd say when I woke up this morning, is playing at Cow Barn at Underbelly in Bristow Square at 2:15 in the afternoon until the 25th of August. For more information, go to edfringe.com and type in why I stuck a flare up my arse for England. Believe me, you're gonna find that show. For the Peter Greenwood Show at the Edinburgh Fringe, I've been your host, Peter Greenwood. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. Bye.